The Conjuring 2 is a new horror movie directed by James Wan. It stars Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. It continues the story of real-life paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. This time around, they're called over to a residence in England where a poltergeist is terrorizing a family, which was a true story, I might add. If you Google the Enfield poltergeist or the Enfield haunting, you'll find out some information about the incident that this movie is based on. The movie starts off with Ed and Lorraine investigating the Amityville house. I'm pretty sure I don't need to go into what happened there. If you've seen the Amityville Horror or read the book, then you know exactly what's going on. During the investigation, Lorraine has a vision of a creepy demonic ghoul type of thing, which looks a lot like Marilyn Manson in a nun's outfit, and she also has a premonition of Ed's death, which kind of makes her think that it's about time to retire. However, when they find out about the case in England, they decide to give it one more go, head over to investigate, and what they find is a family of 5, a mother and her 4 children, who are being tormented by a poltergeist, and he's sort of possessing this 11-year-old girl and making her talk in really creepy voices, that kind of stuff, throwing things around, doing what poltergeists do best. Now, I was a really big fan of the first Conjuring. If I were to review it, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was a fresh horror movie. You know, a lot of horror movies these days rely on jump scares and loud noises, that kind of thing, whereas to me, The Conjuring, it relied on tension, and for me, tension is what makes horror. It's not so much something jumping out at the camera and scaring the crap out of you. It's, you know, seeing that shadowy figure down the end of a dark hallway and wondering what's going to happen, and you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, that to me is real horror, and the first Conjuring I thought nailed it. Going into the second one, I didn't really have expectations of stuff, but I had high hopes. I had really hoped that it was going to be as good as the first one. So on the plus side, I think the first thing that stood out for me was the cinematography. Man, this movie is an absolute masterclass in how to shoot a movie. The way that James Wan moves his camera, I'm not just talking about angles and stuff, which were incredible. I mean, there was a lot of overhead shots, that sort of stuff. There was another, if you recall in the first one, there was one long continuous take going through the house, and I don't know how long it lasted, but it was really cool. And this movie, they did another one as well, which went through some windows this time, stuff like that. It looked really great. But it's more a case of the way that they build tension by using the camera, that kind of thing. Only letting you see what you need to see and moving the camera away so you're not sure what's just off screen and stuff like that. It's a great looking movie. Another of the things I was most impressed with was this movie goes against cliche in a lot of ways. There was a scene where the police come to investigate things when, you know, the poltergeist starts doing his thing. And, you know, with horror movies, it's always the way the police come and it's like, yeah, we don't see anything going on here. You guys are obviously insane. We're gonna go. Not this time around. The police come along and something actually does happen, and it was such a joy to see. I know that apparently that is what happened in the real case, so I can't really credit the writers for that, but it was just a really cool thing to see. A few other things they got right. There was a pretty clever little twist in the movie. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything, involving some reels of tape, some audio recordings, which I thought was cool. I really dug the look of the demon. The demon was really scary. So, onto the things I didn't like. Now, unfortunately, yeah, here's the thing. I really liked this movie. I'm not sure if I loved it. The first act, they did a great job of tension building. Like I said with the first one, you know, it wasn't relying on jump scares, that sort of thing. There was some seriously creepy moments. Things like where you think something is going to happen, but it doesn't, and it leaves you tingling, you know, rather than having that jump scare to wash away the tension, it leaves you hanging there, and they did a great job of that. But then I kind of thought during the second act it started to lull a little bit, and by the end it was resorting a little bit back to typical horror movie cliches, and there were a lot of jump scares. Admittedly, they weren't fake jump scares like a cat jumping out of a closet, that kind of stuff. They were warranted, but I still thought it relied too much on them. Also, what they did with the subplot of Ed's impending death, you know, is it going to happen or not? That also was pretty cheesy, the way they handled that. It was the kind of thing that, you know, you've seen it 100 times before in other movies, and I think that was one thing where this movie did fail a little bit, was that we kind of have seen it before. I mean, I liked the setting and all that sort of stuff. It did make it feel a bit fresh, but at the end of the day, like I said, I didn't love the movie. So look, overall, the movie's definitely worth checking out, especially if you like the first one. You're not going to be disappointed with it. It was the kind of movie that I just couldn't really love, but the saving grace, the main thing that really elevated it up for me was just how it was made. It was just such a beautiful looking movie. I mean, the camera technique, all that sort of stuff, just elevated it to a whole nother level. So yeah, definitely worth checking out, but just don't go in with too high expectations. I'm going to give The Conjuring 2 a 7 out of 10. So thank you again everyone who's been subscribing. It's really cool that I've now hit 100, and I've already drawn the competition for the Force Awakens Blu-ray. That was in a previous video, so yeah, that happened, and I'm really happy it's being given away. Woohoo! But make sure that you stay subscribed to my channel, because I'm definitely going to have more giveaways in the future. And in the meantime, leave me some comments either here or on Facebook, because I like to talk about movies and I would love to talk about movies with you. I'll catch you next time.
Hey you there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Click subscribe. You see the big word up the top that says subscribe? Well, click on it. Click on it now. Do it. Yeah.